Good day, YouTube. Now, every year is a learning year, but your 20s are especially important when it comes to learning because it's so easy to make a lot of mistakes and it's so easy to build bad habits because there's so many things that you're ignorant to. So many people are trying to figure out where their life is going to go, and they're also trying to figure out what they should be doing with their life in the first place. Now, I'm going to share the most important things that I've learned during my 20s, and these are things that I wish I knew a lot earlier. So hopefully they can help you. Number one on the list is to cherish the things that are not replaceable. I'm talking about family, health, and time. These are things that we have to cherish because once they're gone, they're gone. Family, health, and time, I like to call them the other form of wealth because you can't buy more time, you can't buy more family, and money doesn't help fix all of the health issues that exist. Number two on the list is making the right decisions is the closest thing to luck besides luck itself. Now, the decisions you make are important because it's going to determine how your life pans out. There are certain decisions that you can't take back. If you have kids, they're here for good. You know, you got to watch who you marry. That's very important. You got to watch if that house that you're buying, is it a good long-term investment? It's a choice to be healthy or not. These are all things that are going to affect how your life turns out in the future. Now, there are certain things that you're not going to notice until 10 years down the line. So it's critical that you do a lot of research and that you're careful about the decisions that you make. Unfortunately, if you live your life a certain way, it's going to take the same amount of time to undo the way you've been living your life to actually make it better. I don't know if that makes sense, but if you've been living unhealthy for 5 years and you want to change that, it's going to take at least 5 years to make sure you're back on the right track. So, in many ways, life is about not making the bad choices, but it's also about making the right choices. If you start the right business at the right time or invest your money at the right time in the right places, then that can also pan out and make sure your life goes where it needs to go. So it's all about making the right decisions and avoiding the wrong decisions. Number three, when things don't go your way, focus on whatever you can control instead of what you can't control. Meaning, if you make YouTube videos, for example, they're not getting views, you don't stress on that part. You stress on making another video and making them better and improving on what you can improve until things get better. That's the only thing you can focus on is the things you can control. Anything else doesn't make sense. Remember, if something doesn't work, if it doesn't kill you, you always have the opportunity to try it again. Number four, I started to learn perspectives and why people do the things that they do. I used to think to myself, I would never do some of the things that people do, but as you get older and you go through certain situations, you start to realize people's breaking points and why they do certain things. Like, you wouldn't understand somebody committing a crime until you've been in a situation where you need to commit a crime or get some money a fast way or something like that. Now, I'm not justifying decisions like that, but until you've been in a certain environment or a certain situation, then you just wouldn't understand. Now, an example of this is when people are in certain environments and they talk a certain way. You're not born talking a certain way, but you kind of adapt to your surroundings. And I think if people understood environments, surroundings, and circumstances, that the world would have a little bit more compassion in it because you don't understand what somebody's going through until you've actually done it. You can read about it, you can do your research, but until you've actually been in that situation, it's hard to actually experience what they're going through. Number five, life changes, people change, but no matter the circumstance, you have your morals, values, and you have God. Always remember who you are despite what you're going through. Because when the situation is done, people are going to remember your morals, your values, how you acted, how you conducted yourself, and your respect is going to be based off that. Number six, you can't please everyone, so don't try to. No matter what you do, somebody's always going to have something to say. So make sure you do whatever you need to do. Make sure it makes sense for yourself. Make sure it's a good move for you and your family and what you need to be doing long term. And just realize that not everybody has a valid opinion on your life. Number seven is one of my favorites. Number seven is that everybody is an expert on something. Meaning, just because somebody doesn't have money doesn't mean that you shouldn't listen to them. Now, we tend to think, oh, they're not where we want to be in life, so we're not going to listen to anything that they have to say. You may not want to listen to them when it comes to money, but when it comes to something else, it doesn't mean that they can't be an expert at that. Everybody has a life, they have different circumstances, different situations. So there's something that they may be able to give really good advice on, but we discredit it because they don't have a lot of money. Also, just because somebody has a lot of money doesn't mean you should listen to them. You know, one, you don't know where they got their money from, and two, it doesn't mean you should listen to everything that they have to say. They may be good at getting money, but they may not be good at everything else. So just listen to them maybe when it comes to money and take some of their steps. I think a lot of people are blinded by money and blinded by beauty. We tend to forget everything else that may come along with that person's personality when it comes to those two things. If you guys are enjoying this video so far, make sure you check out this book. It's called Overcome the Opposition. It's on Amazon. It's short, but it gives a lot of good information about how to overcome obstacles. And also, guys, go ahead and subscribe, leave a like, and drop a comment on anything that you've thought about so far since watching this video. Number 8, I feel a lot better when I use money to love people and not the other way around. I know a lot of people get ahead doing it the other way, but long term, that's not going to bring me peace. And I feel like when you use money to love people, it builds connections and genuine relationships and respect. So I'd rather do it that way. Number 9 is for my fitness people. When it comes to fitness and developing a great body, the most important thing is consistency. None of the diets, none of the workouts are going to work without you being consistent and putting work in and day out. And this also applies to anything worth having. Number 10, good money may not last forever. Whenever you're in a situation and it's making good money and it seems like things are going well, be careful how much of that money you spend and how much you get used to it, because sometimes you may get laid off or that situation just may not last. Technology is advancing and it's replacing jobs. So just because you have a good job at the moment doesn't mean you're going to be in that situation forever. So be careful about how you act and how much you get used to it. I think this one is important because, when people can't recreate that lifestyle that they had or what they're used to, a lot of people get depressed and it just throws them off in every other direction in life. Number 11 is don't rush to find love. It often comes when you're not even looking for it. So many people focus on finding the right person, finding a relationship, but I think that when you're not looking for it, that's usually when you'll find it. But in the meantime, make sure all your ducks are in a row and you can actually handle a relationship and handle that right person whenever they actually do come. Make sure you're where you need to be financially and you know who you are. That way, you don't mess up a good thing when it actually does come. Number 12 on the list, spending time with family and people you love is important for your health and your happiness. Between work, sleep, everything else, going to the gym, self-improving, all that type of stuff, the time we have left to spend with family and the people we love is actually very limited. So we got to make sure that we use those times to take advantage of them and use little moments to make them big moments and make every moment we can special, because those moments don't last and we don't have enough of them. After all, that is why we work so hard. That's why we overcome everything that we have to overcome.